I do see that. And Claire, for that, I'm sorry.
I'm not going to apologize to Claire. And with all due respect, like,
The drama returned for an eventful men tell all, and Tayshia found closure with some of her exes. Hey guys, welcome back to another shared news from home. We have got to break down this men tell all, but before we get into it, if you're new here, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell so you don't miss out on any future videos. As always, I'm your host, Fiona Zaring, and I'm joined by the wonderful Avery Grooms and Hibba Berry. Hi guys.
Hey.
Hello.
Hello. So let's just dive right in, because as tell-alls are, there is just a lot to unpack here. Starting with reliving perhaps my least favorite drama in Bachelor history, the Ed versus Chasen feud. Chris asks Ed about Chasen, who was not there to defend himself or go back and forth. So luckily, we just got a little quick taste of this. The most interesting thing was Ed said, virtually nothing new. We know his shtick. He didn't like Chasen because he used the same adjectives, and that's apparently a federal offense. But I want to talk to you guys about Demar's reaction, because he was not having it. He defended Chasen. And I really wasn't expecting that. I feel like we never really saw that side of him. So my question is, what were your thoughts on Demar? And also, is there even a clear winner in the Ed and Chasen drama? Did you guys ever pick a side? What about you, Eva?
Honestly, with this drama, I kind of really didn't pay attention to it. It was the least of my concern. It just seemed like, again, that petty drama to get those early reactions during the season. But I gotta say, I do give respect to Demar, for defending someone that wasn't there to defend himself. But honestly, this drama, I didn't really care for.
Yeah, I don't really have much to say about this because I don't care for it. And it's irrelevant filler at this point. Respect to
Yes.
Demar, I guess, for defending Chasen. Maybe they were friends, but it's lame.
I totally agree. That's like the perfect word. I was like hoping for like such a wild men tell all, and I have to say, we kicked things off with Ed and Chasen, which has been a little lackluster for all of us this whole time through. But the exciting thing is, you guys, to carry us from there, we kicked things off, or we continued the night, I should say, with another round of Noah and Bennet drama, which maybe is my second least favorite drama. Again, I'm just going to boil this down to, there really wasn't a lot of progress made. It's not like either of them, changed their tune. The one thing I will say that I was a little bummed about is we didn't really hear from Bennet anything super redeeming. I actually kind of enjoyed Bennet for a lot of the season. I liked a lot of his commentary. I thought he was just sarcastic and funny, but he lost me at that gift box. And he doubled down on giving him that book, asked him if he read it, which interestingly enough, he said he did. But he said that he actually, how he said he was lacking in 3 of the 4, he upped it to 4 of the 4. And I don't know, he just wasn't very apologetic. So again, they don't like each other. That's sort of the end of the story. But did either of them, in this drama, tip the scales for you a little more one way or another? And were you disappointed in them during this tell-all rehashing? What about you, Avery?
I'm not disappointed in them because I did not have any expectations for them. I'm not surprised that no progress has been made because, one, this was a situation that got just dragged on for way too long. And at this point, why would they make up? For what? They clearly hate each other. They're not compatible as friends. Like, it's as clear as day. What I thought was funny out of this whole thing was Kenny was really going at it and he was defending Bennet, and then Noah called Kenny a One Direction party boy band manager in camo. And I just thought it was so funny because I was like, wow, he was like really quick with that comeback. But that's what I took out of this whole drama and them trying to talk it out. Once again, we've talked about this so many times and it was such a petty situation, and I'm mad we're still talking about it, but finally I think we can put it to rest because it's over now. But yeah.
Oh my goodness. These producers are really milking it. Like, I'm just gonna say that. And at this point, it's like beating a dead horse. I mean, can we move on? Can we at least talk about something else? So yeah, I'm just over it. Let's talk about something else now.
I know, it's crazy. Well, I will ask you guys one more, but I promise this will be the last question I quote unquote ever ask. We used to say that we really wanted to see Bennett in paradise. So my question is, do you guys still want to see Bennett in paradise? Do we still think he's like a paradise shoo-in? Are we just like really, really done?
Personally, I don't, because I'm just a hater. I don't know why. He rubs me the wrong way, but I feel like he'll be there because he is a character. He's sometimes almost like in costume. I feel like the men tell all, the glasses were a prop, the scarf was a prop. So he's definitely a character and producers love that. So I definitely think he'll get a call to be in paradise. But personally, I don't care if he's there or not. I don't really want to see him there, but I feel like he'll be there.
I wouldn't be surprised either. And yes, I gotta say the glasses and the scarf killed me because that just screamed, Harvard douchebag, which they kind of coined him on the show. So again, like the producers, they love the drama, they love the clicks, they love, the hate that Bennett attracts because the hate means more viewers. So I would not be surprised if he made it on there.
Well, we will certainly just have to wait and see on that front. But I do agree with both of you. I feel like he's like made that kind of mark. He's memorable. So we might be seeing him on the beach one day. Moving on to someone I certainly hope we literally never see or hear from again, Yosef. I have to say it was the juiciest part of the episode. It was probably like the most redeeming tell-all moment for me, like as a TV viewer, but certainly not for his character. I ended up hating Yosef after this even more than I did going in, which I thought was honestly going to be hard to do. He, of course, refused to apologize. He said he had no regrets. The guys did a very good job of unanimously making it clear that they were not okay with his behavior, which I think kind of went without saying. The part that really stood out to me that I don't even know if I can discuss because it made me so enraged was that when somebody asked him like how he would feel if someone addressed his own daughter that way, he said that he hoped someone would if she behaved in Claire's manner, which, I mean, we only saw Claire for about 10 minutes on this show, but I can't remember her doing anything that was that unforgivable. So anyways, before I just go off on a huge rant, Avery, what did you think of Yosef's appearance this evening?
Well, it's clear that he hates women. That's what I took from all of that. He's just talking about setting a good example for his daughter. And the whole reason he blew up was because the guys were like Speedos and he thought it was inappropriate. And I just think him coming to Men Tell All and not just having some courtesy and just owning up to it. Like, yeah, I did get a little hot-headed, or yeah, I kind of have a temper, or just anything. That's not a good representation at all. So it's just kind of contradicting, and he's just horrible. Like, he brought nothing good to the table.
It was definitely ironic that, again, like you mentioned, Avery, he wanted to be the role model, yet here he is screaming at this woman who is trying to have a conversation with him, yet he won't listen. And I mean, you're going on the show, The Bachelorette. What do you expect is going to happen? Of course, there's going to be drama, scandal, arguments, scandalous moments, things like that. So I really don't understand what he was expecting. This is TV. Stuff's going to go down. Producers are going to twist people's words. There's going to be, surprising, shocking, challenging moments. So I really did not understand what was going through this man's head.
Oh, me either. I mean, so many red flags, like in his argument. Number one, she didn't buy the Speedos. This was planned by producers. Like, she's a puppet as much as the rest of them. Also, when that clip, they gave us like the sizzle reel of the drama. And I was like, I cannot believe how rudely he interrupted her when she was speaking about her mother who is ill, and that like all of it was just like back to back to back. I was so terrified of him once again. And I thought it was really interesting that Chris decided, he was like, I'm gonna like break from what I do here and just try to impart some wisdom. And even that didn't work.
But what I would love is if you could just see that and just be like, you know what? I do see that. And Claire, for that, I'm sorry.
I'm not going to apologize to Claire. And with all due respect, like, I don't.
Yeah, Chris Harrison basically hinted to him, I'm giving you a chance to apologize. You probably should. And he still refused to do it. So that's just very telling. And I just don't even understand why he even came to the Men Tell All at that point. It's usually to clear the air. And he just made a worse reputation for himself. So good job, Yosef, once again.
Well, moving on from Yosef, because he ultimately was just a little blip in this Men Tell All, because he was way back from Claire's season. Of course, or from Claire's time on the season. We didn't see Claire, we didn't see Dale. They kind of already handled that earlier on with their little catch up. We did see Tayshia though, and much like I was expecting, the guys' faces all basically lit up the same way they did when they first saw her. I think she left like really good terms with everyone, but it was still really, really nice to hear some questions get asked, some things were able to get addressed. Before we get into her relationships, and the loose ends she sort of tied up, there was a quick moment, very brief, with Chris Harrison where they addressed the rumors that this Tayshia taking over was some like elaborate scheme that ABC cooked up from the start. And I don't know about you guys, but I feel like we maybe found a missing puzzle piece. She once again talked about how she got the call, she wasn't expecting it, she was on, location 48 hours later, but she added in that nothing was guaranteed, that they basically brought her in and said, it looks like things are going to go this way with Claire and one of her guys. If it does, nothing guaranteed, we might not need you, but if it does, we want you here to take over. And that finally, I feel like, made it all make sense to me, because it just kind of answered some of those loose end, conspiracy questions. So I don't know. I'm just curious, since we love to be skeptical here. Avery, did they bookend this for you? Are we done with our conspiracy, or do you still think there's any weight to ABC just being the puppet masters that they are?
Yeah, I think she kind of spilled a little for us who are like looking for these details. Okay, so she said nothing was guaranteed. They were kind of just waiting to see what happens, but they think it will go this certain way. This supports our theory that producers kind of gave Claire the nudge that she needs to go. So I think they did that in the sense where it was kind of like, okay, then if you are in love with this guy, let's wrap up the show, get engaged, and bring Tayshia on. I don't think it was necessarily Claire like, I want to end the show and get engaged right now. She had that nudge from producers, but Tayshia basically kind of confirmed that theory by saying they weren't sure how it was going to go. So I don't know. I peeped that little moment and I was kind of like, yes, we finally got some of our answers we were always questioning.
I definitely think that the producers wanted to get their money's worth of a full season. So if that meant Claire had to leave because she already made up her mind and chose Dale, then I guess that was the move that they had to go with, and then bring in a whole new Bachelorette to kind of, finish out the season, because those resorts are expensive, so they really had to get their money's worth. And I feel like if the season kind of ended there, Bachelor Nation would have erupted, because they want that full milked out season, that we've been seeing. So I definitely think this makes sense of what Tayshia said.
Well, of course, out of one Bachelor conspiracy, another is born. But you guys, the skeptics out there have pointed out something else that I feel like we should bring to attention, which is we've, of course, seen a bunch of Bachelor Nation faves pop up sprinkled throughout this season. But one notable one that was like sort of spotted early on was Hannah Ann. So that kind of leaves us with, either they brought her in for a group date or a little advice sesh that for whatever reason hit the chopping block in the edit room, or perhaps they were just reaching out to, Bachelor Nation favorites trying to get some backups loaded on deck in case something went wrong. I just think it's interesting. This not guaranteed lingo she gave us is very, very interesting. So, just something for you guys if you're on Twitter and you want to go do some sleuthing to ponder out there. We love to keep the conspiracies alive and well. Let's talk about Tayshia being able to sort of talk to some of the guys that it was very difficult for her to say goodbye to. She, of course, spoke to Bennet, who probably has had one of the most interesting roller coasters with her out of all the guys there. And he asked for clarity on why she brought him back and then cut him right away, which I think is a fair question. Bennett's not perfect, but I do get that. And she said, I think kind of what we were expecting. She was, of course, moved by his gesture. It gave her a lot to think about. But there were just relationships further on. And I feel like, I think I know how you guys feel about this, but there are relationships further on. It would have been weird for her to have somehow saved Bennet. I don't think anybody at home would have felt like that was the right call. I mean, what did you think, Hiba?
I think she made the right decision of cutting him. And again, like we said, we love a redemption story when it comes to reality TV and especially a love story. So again, the respect is there. I mean, he fought for her love, but it just didn't seem like Tayshia agreed with him.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think it's just the fact that he showed up and then he also said, I love you. It would almost be like disrespectful to send him home still in that moment. So I think she made the right decision. Like she was going to go sleep on it because that's a lot for the both of them. So I think it was handled well. And that's a fair question for Bennet to ask her that.
Totally. We also, of course, saw that incredibly emotional goodbye with Blake. I think more emotional than I was expecting, more emotional than maybe she was even expecting. When she talked about it tonight, kind of much like we saw her talk about it on the show itself, like she said she just knew she was sending a really amazing person home, which Blake is a great guy. I mean, of course, it just never really like got to the stage that her other relationships were in. This is a heartbreaking show. Tough things happen. But Blake did ask her. He asked the question. He said it was selfish. I really thought it was sweet the way he worded it, but basically just if she has any regrets. A lot of it sort of in the moment was chalked up to timing and just the speed at which they progressed. So he had been left sort of wondering, would more time have maybe equaled like something real here? She perhaps let him down a little bit in her answer, but in Tayshia fashion was honest. She said it was more factors than just timing. But this was interesting. She said she thinks she maybe put up some walls because he told her he had some deeper feelings for Clare. And I have to say, I did not remember Blake's really intense feelings for Clare kind of at all. This whole season has been such a whirlwind. I mean, do you remember Blake like being really all in the Clare days? I feel like I had to go back in time. What were your thoughts, Avery?
I mean, not enough to remember. I don't remember him having like an intense like relationship with her, but who did, I feel like Tayshia wanted to like Blake more than she did, and she told him it was timing. And it seemed like even in their interviews after a date, she really wanted to like him. She's like, this is a guy I normally would, and it just wasn't there. So I think timing was a nice way to put it. Obviously, that wasn't completely the case. But once again, this stuff's so hard and she's handling it so well, like when it comes to sending guys home. And now they're confronting her about it and it's still going smoothly. So that's awesome. I would never be able to do that. So props to her. But yeah, once again, Blake just was not it.
I gotta say, I agree that she really kept herself together. She didn't get overwhelmed or super emotional, didn't start crying. You could definitely see the emotion in her eyes, but she didn't necessarily like break like she did when she was eliminating these contestants. But with Blake, it's so interesting that he asks, would it have been different if we had more time? But you kind of have to factor in all the other contestants. What if all the other contestants had time as well, just like you did. And he did, but Blake still, fell short and didn't really rise up to the occasion. And again, just kind of scrambled to make an impression last minute when, things were boiling down to getting serious with hometowns and everything coming up. So I feel like he really wasn't motivated to fight for her like we saw in all the other contestants.
Yeah, I definitely think, I mean, no doubt in my mind, he seemed like a good guy. He had some like charming moments, but he was not. We see so many sparks flying with Tayshia and some of these guys, and I don't think we ever really saw them in that way with Blake. Another tough goodbye was with Riley, and it was a conversation I was sort of looking forward to because Riley is so smart, so well spoken, really, really like took it to the next level. And you could just tell it was very, very difficult for her to hurt him, of course. It was really interesting. He said that he feels like he did himself a disservice by sort of waiting to open up. He slowly kind of eased into it. It was definitely like out of his comfort zone, but maybe at a pace he was more comfortable with. I think he maybe was expressing some regret at not like stepping out of his box a little sooner. He also shared that he fell harder than he really even realized, had a tough month when he first got back home. But in typical Riley fashion, he was super charming and said he wouldn't have changed anything. He thanked her for everything. And I thought there was a very, very touching moment where she basically reiterated, like, you're an amazing person and you didn't scare me off. Like, I think you need to continue to open up, let people see this side of yourself. Like, there's someone wonderful out there for you. So I was just like very moved by this conversation. And it really struck with me that like Tayshia was having these conversations, not just with like great guys, but with her exes, with people like she was in a relationship with. That feels like they all got a lot of closure. And there's really no like hatred there, which is unbelievably mature, especially by Bachelor standards. I mean, what did you think during this conversation, Avery?
Yeah, it says a lot. I mean, even when Tayshia first walked out, they showed Riley's face and he was just like, oh, wow. And I was thinking, that's so cute. He still can like admire her after she broke his heart, because she did it in such a graceful way. And they're both so mature and smart. And the part where he was just saying he should have opened up sooner, all these guys have a lot of baggage and so does he. And he already spilled some of that. And I'm glad she was just there to talk to him about this because everyone opens up at their own pace. And like you could tell he was beating himself up about that. Like, did I say too much? Did I not say enough? And just the way they both spoke to each other, that level of respect and grace was just awesome to watch. Riley is just an awesome human. Like, I thought he was great. So it was a pleasure having him on the show.
I just wish every breakup could just go that go that way. It was so mature, so calm, cool, and collected. Both had respect for each other mutually, and yeah, it was a great way for them to go their separate ways, establish respect, know that they wanted different things. Again, it just didn't align in the ways that they preferred, and yeah, I think that was a great way to kind of step back and close that chapter finally for both of them.
Absolutely. Well, aside from that, we of course got, as always, some fun little bloopers, some never before seen moments. But all in all, I feel like you guys, those were the standout moments from Men Tell All. We want to know what you guys thought. Were you shocked by Yosef? Did you appreciate these closure conversations? And of course, aside from Men Tell All, what do you think is going to happen next week? Because we're getting back-to-back episodes and then the season is literally over. Let us know down in the comments. And if you want to see our recap of the rest of the episode and us breaking down the promo, looking for clues as we lead into the finale, make sure you check out the description. Links to both of those videos will be in there. If you haven't already, be sure to subscribe to our channel because we will continue to cover all things Bachelorette. As always, I'm your host, Fiona Zaring. I was joined by the wonderful Avery Grooms and Hiba Berry. Our socials are on the screen right now. Come say hi. Thank you guys so much for watching, and we will see you next time. Bye.